We are now recording, and I'd like to say welcome to everybody. And once more, we're assembling to celebrate another successful anthology. And despite Corona, a successful activity-filled year. As you all know, I had hoped to stage this launch of the anthology with a face-to-face event, but I was too optimistic. You all, well, most of you, eyed the ever-fluctuating Corona situation and decided to play it safe. So once again, Zoom came to the rescue. And of course, we then have the advantage that with Zoom, we have more attendees than usual, including many beloved friends from overseas. Welcome to you all. I would especially like to welcome our new members, though I am not sure that they have yet managed to arrive. I don't really see them on the screen. But we have Lindsay Soberano from Canada and Sylvia Koffler from the US, both of whom joined in 2021. Are you here, either of you? Lindsay or Sylvia? Well, I hope they'll be able to join us soon. And we also have a few guests of one of our members, Julie Mendelson. So welcome to you all. And I'm sure you're enjoying the evening. So this year, we sent out the anthology in late August, and hopefully everyone has by now received their copy, even those who live abroad. Willa, for example, you're one of the furthest. Did you receive your anthology? Just raise a hand if you did. Good, great. Well, if it good, and Devorah, well, if it got to you, let us hope that it got to everybody. It's a beautiful volume. Just in case anybody did not see it, I would like to show you it. There, can everybody see? There. Okay, let's go back to Zoom. Good. I've received many compliments on its appearance and on its content. The kudos for the first, the appearance, should go to Avril, our new designer and producer of the anthology. And the kudos for the second, the content, should go, of course, to Dina, our long-term and dedicated chief editor. So I want to start by thanking Dina. Dina, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Great. Okay, I'd like to start by thanking Dina, who as chief editor oversees the entire project and has once again produced its volume of quality poems arranged in a logical flow of themes, which the arrangement takes her a lot of work, I know. So thank you, Dina, for all your hard work in administering the project and in co-judging the poems and their initial proofreading. Usually at this point, we express our appreciation with a small presentation to you, but there are limits to what Zoom can do. So I've had to make do with something that can easily be sent by mail or email. And with the collusion of your husband, Yair, who told me what you would like.
Thank you.
Secrets here revealed. I've sent you a Stymatsky gift card.
Thank you. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Great. And next to Avril. Avril, are you here? What a pity that she would not be here yet. Anyway, I can't begin to describe.
I am here.
Oh, great.
I am here.
Great, great. Okay, I can't begin to describe how much time and effort Avril has put into the production of this anthology, especially since it was the first time she did it, and how creative and yet detail-oriented she has proved to be. And the results are visible on every page, and really it's been a joy to work with her. Avril, thank you so much. I wish us both many happy returns of working together, and I know that you too received your little gift of appreciation, which doesn't begin to express the appreciation, but it's something. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And now is the time also to express my heartfelt thanks to the editorial board, our three judges, Edith Gabrielli. Hi, Edith. Judith Goldfarb, and David Silverman, who unfortunately couldn't be here, it clashed with something else. They've all devoted a tremendous amount of work. They've given considered attention to hundreds of poems, and I think they can be justly proud of the result. So thank you, all three of you. And behind the scenes, Linda, are you here? What would we do without Linda, our secretary, who has handled so efficiently all the administrative work with emails flying to and fro? And Hanita, you're here.
I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm
You're
here.
Great. Oh, there
Yeah.
you are. No picture, but you're here.
I'm eating supper.
Well, we won't disturb you. We will just praise you because you've put in such a lot of work. And also Hanita, our treasurer, who with unbelievable energy and commitment undertakes every year the unenviable task of mailing out all the anthologies to members and others who've ordered copies. And she manages it all in record time with unfailing accuracy. This year she had an even greater task than usual, since she mailed out, together with the anthology, a copy of the memorial chapbook from the Voices Israel 50th anniversary event held in July. Hanita and Linda, we couldn't do it without you. And finally, my personal thanks to all of you who write quality poetry and submit it for publication to Voices Israel rather than elsewhere, when I know you have the choice. The muse continue to visit you and us all and keep those poems coming. Okay, now, before we start, a technical issue which I've actually already addressed, but I think I'll remind everybody. One problem with Zoom is that any background noise in anyone's room or house is heard by all of us, not to mention incoming phone calls if you've forgotten to silence your phone, hint, hint. So please, everyone, make sure your phone is muted when it isn't your turn to read. And I can mute you all, as I actually have done, but the person reading then has to unmute themselves. Is there anyone who doesn't know where the unmute button is on the screen? Well, this is a little silly, isn't it? I'm asking you this, but in order to say, no, I don't know where it is, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, so it's on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. It's a little icon of a microphone, and it has a slash through it when you are muted. And if you click on it, it will unmute. And having dispensed with all the technical details, I hope, on with the show. With a couple of exceptions for people who are leaving early or arriving late, we're reading in the order the poets appeared in the anthology. Those of you who are reading two poems, please read both together, starting with the one that appears first in the anthology. Okay, with one exception that somebody who got the reading list actually queried me about, so I thought I'd better explain it to all of you. Donna has one of the two opening poems, and also the final one, and the two of them make such an apt frame for the whole anthology that I couldn't bear to have her read her ending poem right up at the start together with the beginning one. So I asked her to read each of them separately to form a sort of bracket on the anthology. But we're starting off with, first of all, with Miriam Botzer, if she's here, simply because she has to dash off to a granddaughter's bat mitzvah. Miriam, are you here?
I am. I hope you can you hear me? I'm in the car.
We can hear you. Would you like to read your poem now, or can you read it later when you're not in the car?
I'd like to read it now because we'll be arriving at the bat mitzvah.
Okay, great. So Miriam Botzer, please read your poem, page 45, if people are following in the anthology. Okay, in the silence of the night.
In the silence of the night, lying awake, listening to the warm, soothing ache of your breathing, contrasted by the distant howling of jackals and spider jets, riding the waves of the sound barrier. I cuddle closer and submit to the sound of the strength of your being. Oh, so loud with ease in the
Thank you, Miriam. I hope everybody could hear that okay. Cars do not do much for Zoom connections, but I heard it okay. I hope everyone did. And Miriam, we wish you great joy of your granddaughter, and go on and enjoy your bat mitzvah, her bat mitzvah. Okay, so now I'd like to start off the anthology from the beginning with Julie Mendelson, whom I'm so happy to see here tonight because she usually doesn't make it to any of the events. And I'm still trying to interest her in the Haifa group because she lives in Zichron. But we won't deal with that now. Julie, would you please read your two poems, Cave People on page 1 and Corona Tribe on page 3.
Thank you for the ability to express ourselves in this Corona time in poetry. I want to thank the editors for letting us do that, and especially when Corona won't be on the front page, at least the memories and the things we learned will still be relevant for all of us, I hope. Cave People. The pendulum had to swing back eventually. The laws of physics make it so. After years of dealing with the human tribe, we wanted to escape communal life, to focus on our own backyard barbecues instead of sharing our meat with the village in obligatory prehistoric rites. We wanted to crawl into our stone caves and be left alone, like the bats who harbor viruses for millions of years, waiting for the opportunity to wreak havoc on the world. We told ourselves, a screen for every child will certainly help the world progress. We forgot how to talk to our fellow humans. We muted things we didn't want to hear, deleted what we didn't want to see, and we got the isolation that we sought. Maybe it's time to reinvent ourselves, to emerge from these dark days with a new spirit, renew our human urge to reach the heavens, and reach our arms toward one another. For deep inside this cave, there is no light.
Okay.
And on the lighter side, let's say, of Corona, Corona Tribe. I know it goes against the natural order of things when adult children reappear. But some pandemic evenings when we all gathered to eat, I had a feeling that this was how we were meant to live. A great biblical hamula of nomads wandering in the desert, where meals were shared, loud and lively, full of spice, where members were added, brides and grooms and babies, and yes, sometimes people left. Colorful and complicated relations, always there for one another and always in each other's hair. But first and foremost, bonds of blood, because that's how you survive. Maybe it's just an old-fashioned dream, but when the dust settles, we might all give thanks for this unexpected gift. A return to ancient rituals, family ties, and feasts around the fire.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks.
Both lovely poems. Thank you so much. Okay, Donna, would you please read April 20th Main Street World on page 2?
April 2020, Main Street World. This body, its bones bare of loud-spoken life, it echoes with emptiness of heart and footbeat. This abandoned ghost canyon of steel, glass, concrete, and asphalt, of electronic boards unlit and trash bins unstuffed. This corridor of cobblestones, of stucco and brick, and sorrowful stone, it echoes with the unvoiced, but stands at the ready with hope, stands patiently awaiting with faith, stands willing and able to welcome resurgence of the cadence and staccato of its boisterous human stream.
Thank you, Donna. Lovely. I always love your poems, you know that.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, Wendy, we progress to page 4. No, it isn't page 4. Sorry, page 9.
Page 9. I just want to say, Susan, that Iris Dan is desperately trying to get in, and she kept phoning me, and I gave her your number because I couldn't get out and get in again. So if she's phoned you, she'll probably tell you that she needs to get in. All right, Susan? Okay. I tried to forward her the link and it bounced back again. So I told her to, oh, she's phoning. Okay. Unknown history. Walking through the streets of London, ghosts from the Docklands Blitz. Grandparents I scarcely knew, their house a bomb site, now a car park. Old synagogue excavated from the ruins of a Huguenot home. An immigrant suitcase found on an upper floor. A Victorian market of iron and glass, all marked for demolition, to build new towers of brick and steel, faceless walls of industry and finance. Living now in green suburbs, the East End forgotten, Petticoat Lane before the Sabbath, when housewives bought the herrings and the fish. Out of the ashes of those Blitz Docklands, artists and artisans and architects rise up to conserve the stories of the past, restore the Victorian market, the ancient synagogue, the immigrants' room that still exist between the towers of industry and finance.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Isn't it interesting that even when the subject is not Corona, the subject seems to be renewal and returning to life. Okay, I see that I am the next on the list with my poem on page 20, Bat Galim Tsunami, and I'm afraid the mood here is a little darker. Bat Galim Tsunami. The Mediterranean Sea is calm today. The breakwater is lined with fishermen dangling their baited hopes. Two swooping gulls pattern with herring stitch the gentle swell in search of minnows. But beside the road, a notice, stark, uncompromising, loud, proclaims tsunami evacuation route. Flee to escape eastward to higher ground. Over the highway? Over the railway lines? You'll only have 2 minutes. Follow the signs. I contemplate the great Israeli public. 3 Russian matrons, comfortably stout, a pair of soldiers talking Arabic, a girl talking American to her phone with eyes for it alone, colliding past me, a string of raw recruits from the naval base, puffing and panting, struggling to keep up, no breath for talking, with a female sergeant barking commands in Hebrew, a mother and child, a sprinkle of pensioners by the cafe, 2 cats eyeing each other warily and one stalking a pigeon. Which of these could outrun a tsunami? Ah, but what's new? We are surrounded by tsunamis here, to north, northeast, southwest, a boiling sea endlessly threatening to overflow and storm clouds massing far over the east. Why should we spare a thought for this tsunami? With all the threats that cannot be outrun, why care about one which may never come? So the inhabitants of Bat Galim, Russians and native, soldiers, pensioners, gulls, cats and pigeons, disregard the signs and carry on their uneventful lives. The Mediterranean Sea is calm today. Thank you, people. Welcome to Iris. I see you managed it. Oh, I only have to talk to her and she disappears. I wonder if that's the effect I had on her. Oh, here she is. Iris, can you hear me? Wave. You need to unmute yourself, but just wave for the moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you can hear me too, I hope.
Yes, thank you. Now
Thank you.
I have to ask you to mute yourself again because we are progressing to Michelle Bustin on page 22, and I've asked everybody to mute themselves when they are not the ones reading. So Michelle, please, on the blank banks of the Blue Danube.
On the blank banks of the Blue Danube, Black clouds crowd in and burst like full-blown balloons, flinging heavy loads, blinding this noble town, shrouding the blue Danube in brownish grey. On the riverbank, a row of sorry shoes, their wearers long gone but ever present, bear witness to the rhythmic pounding of rain, as once there was the rhythmic pounding of boots. Uncaring, cars and bicycles splash ahead, walkers scurry heads down in their drab raincoats, holding on close to colourful umbrellas, unseeing through misted glasses they pass by. A man's smart brogues, a lady's elegant heels, a child's innocent shoes are rain-drenched now. 60 pairs scattered in an uneven row, this silent testimony to dreadful deeds.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay. And now the second one, which is on page 58, is in a different mood completely. Grandma's inside the TV. The voice from the TV set calls her name, Mabel, Mabel, again and again. She takes one last sip of her sweet jasmine tea. On one side, places the cup so carefully. She gets up slowly and deliberately dawdles towards a tempting voice that her name calls. Looking this way and that, no one's around. She raises one old lady leg and then the other, no sound. Till hop, she's inside in a world of fabulous fantasy, reading the news, acting in reality, answering questions and winning a prize. Suddenly, grown-up shouts of shock and surprise, and just as quick, a child's sound of cheery glee. Look, Grandma's climbed inside the TV.
Thank you. I just have to share the background to this with you all, because Michelle upstaged me on this one. We were both taking a workshop Zoomed from England, and one of the meetings was on surreal poems. And one of the subjects for the exercise was to write a poem with this title.
Judy, unmute.
Judy, are you there?
I'm sorry,
Now.
suddenly my computer or something disconnected me and it took a few seconds.
Oh, okay. You're all
You're
right.
back. You're back.
I'm back again. It reconnected automatically. I have no idea why it disconnected automatically. So anyway, Michelle and I both wrote poems for this exercise, and I was considering sending mine into the anthology, and then I thought, no, it's probably not the sort of thing that they're going to accept. And then I saw that Michelle had sent it in and she did get accepted. So all kudos to her, and I missed out. Anyway, you wouldn't have wanted two on Grandma Climbs Inside the TV, so it's just as well.
Oh yes, yours is very good.
They're both fun. Okay, we now move on to Wendy. Wendy Dickstein on page 24. You will have to pronounce your poem. I think it's Shalom Zachor or Shalom Zachor.
Shalom Zachor.
Okay.
There's a Resh Lakish said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Nasiah, the world only exists because of the breath of school children. That's from the tractate, the Shabbat 119b. It's your first Friday night, day-old scrap of boy. Though you don't have a name, your soul is full-blown, like glass in the hand of the blower. The men flow into the courtyard to welcome you, enter the room where your father sits, luminous as the Shabbos candles flicker and fade. Your brothers and sisters stream out of the kitchen, bearing bowls of arbus, yellow chickpeas, platters of honey cake, bottles of beer. Each man brings a good quart of Torah, takes a drop of shivas in a paper cup, a handful of arbus for the circle of life, l'chaim. One grandfather offers a parable of bees, says every letter of the alphabet has numerical value, honey and wife the same, to teach us this: the feet of bees dragging through nectar ought to render it impure, yet God allows us honey to eat. So too, a wife takes the grimness of the world, transmutes it into blessings, her home a courtyard to the world to come. When you turn 3, may you shout for joy when they cut your hair, crown you with a velvet cap, let you lick honey off the letters of the alphabet as you begin to learn Torah. May the taste of honey make you wise.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Lovely. Okay, so moving on. The next on our list is Stanley Barkan from New York, right? Stanley, you're here? Yes, here he is. Stanley will be reading us page 26, The Worm in the Book, followed by page 28, Walking on Sky. Stanley, would you unmute yourself, please? Stanley?
Unmuted. I don't know. Mute. How about this? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. You are duly unmuted. Okay.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
It says mute though. It says mute.
No, mute means that what will happen if you click it. You are unmuted right now.
I'm unmuted, but it says mute.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, it doesn't say muted, Stanley. It says mute, meaning click me and I will mute you.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
But
hear
I
you
can't
fine.
see myself. I can't see myself though. There's something wrong with my video.
Well, if you are at the bottom where you have that little mute icon, there should also be a video icon which has a red slash through it. And if you click
Yes, it does.
and if you click it, the video will come on.
It says camera is not launched properly. Please check browser.
Well, then I think we're just going to have to suffer without seeing you. What can I say? We will suffer
Yes,
not
you
seeing
won't
you.
be bothered by my image. All right. So I will read The Worm in the Book for Alfred Van Loon. The worm crawled in on page 1001 and left on page 10. So it was written in pencil on the top left corner of the title page of the Book of Levi, filled with fine line drawings etched or engraved on the pages of parchment bound without glue. The Dutch artist of the continuous line, like Brancusi's endless column, pointed it out to me as I held with both hands this incunabulum of his family, descendants of Moses, whose stories had been passed down from Sinai and Nebo to all the children descending to the valley of the Jordan, crossing over in fulfillment of promises, covenants made and broken, told and retold, inscribed and stitched together from time to time in books like this one, but somehow always a worm in a page, in an apple on a tree in a garden, spoiling the linkages of millennia. Let this epigraph be my epitaph. The worm crawled in and out again.
That's a great poem, Stanley. Thank you. And
Now the
page 28.
okay, the next one is one I wrote when I was in China, sailing the Yangtze. Walking on Sky. It is said that the ancient Han walked on sky above the Yangtze, where the water is green and turbulent by the 3 lesser gorges. They cut 4-inch, 2 feet deep squares, placed wooden planks for a bridge of steps in them, one over the other. Then carrying their spears and halberds, knives and lances, they made their warrior way over, above the raging rapids. Like visitors from another planet, they seem to walk on sky. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry,
I think
you're not bothered by my image.
Yeah. First of all, you will note that when people are reading to us from 3,000 miles away, there's a slight delay in hearing them, which causes sometimes a hitch in communication. So we have to take that into account. Secondly, I think I just added to my bucket list of things that I would like to do, sailing up or down the Yangtze. Okay. Edith, we are going on a few pages to page 130, and Edith has 2 poems here, page 30, History in the Raw, and then way down on page 76, The Brown Bag. So over to you, Edith.
History in the Raw. Tucked away in a corner, stored on an upper shelf, in my parents' bedroom, letters in a plastic pitcher. Discovered years ago, brought home to Haifa without asking, remained unread, eventually scanned for safekeeping. Several short-lived attempts to begin reading, finally, now having the courage to start again. My father's letters to my mother from May 1942 to June 1945, in his beautiful Viennese script while serving with the U.S. Army in Europe during World War II. The daily struggles, the war, the weather, the meeting face to face with locals, the search for my missing aunts, concern for friends, often names familiar to me, also serving, financial worries at home, the hunger for mail and care packages, above all, the tremendous longing for my sister and each other, such a deep expression of love. An intense encounter for me, this history in the raw.
Thank you, Edith. Very emotional. Page 76.
Just a second. That's me. Oh, sorry, just a minute.
Reminder to all of us to mute if we didn't already do so. But not Edith, because she has to read us The Brown Bag.
That's right. That's right.
The Brown Bag, an expandable canvas zipper specialty bag made by Uncle Max. My mother used it every weekend traveling to our country home. She called it the Brown Bag. I recently came upon it while trying to clear the clutter in the house, hoping that would help reduce the clutter in my brain. In a pile of unused travel paraphernalia, leather handles worn, zippers stuffed, canvas mostly intact. Having served the family at least 50 years, I struggled with letting it go. In a parting ceremony, I hung it on the trash can outside for any passers-by to avail themselves of my relic, and even photographed it for a keepsake. A minor accomplishment for the clutter in the house. As for the clutter in my brain, a process in the works.
Very good.
I can certainly identify with the emotion of the last stanza. As for the clutter in my brain, well. Emil, are you with us? Emil Schatz?
No, I don't think so.
Oh dear. He didn't tell me that he wouldn't be able to come. So, I think I will read his true adventure on page 33. And then if anybody, meanwhile, would take a look at teaspoons and volunteer to read it on page 79, we'll do it that way if he doesn't turn up meanwhile. Okay, so proxy reading for Emil Schatz, True Adventure. Bilbo, the humble hobbit, avatar of humanity, opts to confront the self he thinks he is, to follow a deadly alien quest. He solves the golem's riddles, soars on eagle's wings, defies the wrath of kings, discovers he is more than ere he knew, reborn. Every adventure story ever told, since the first tale was summoned from the deep, has at its core that dream of becoming more, uncovering our latent potencies. The enemies we conquer in these fantasies are, at heart, our own infirmities. We seek to bring forth treasure buried deep within the hidden labyrinth of our soul, and in the telling, hope to catch a glimpse, a fleeting trace beyond the clouded dome, where we, receivers and conceivers of the dream, may too arise fulfilled, reborn. Lovely poem. And meanwhile, his lovely poem, Teaspoons, which I very much enjoyed on page 79. Do I have any offers to read it?
I would wait. I'll do it if you want me to. Now I got my video.
Great, thank you, Stanley. Lovely to see you.
I got to turn up the button rate.
Phones always ring when people have unmuted themselves. And we never hear them when
You
they're
want me to do
muted.
it now or next? Do you want me to do it now or next?
Page 79, let me think. Would you please read it now?
Okay. I'll read it now. And I think you got my video. I see it anyway.
Yes, yes, we do have your video.
Okay. Teaspoons by Amiel Schutz. It's very strange, but my teaspoons have slowly vanished. The ones I used to spoon the sugar and stir my coffee. Perhaps they huddled together under a seldom used grater, enjoying the subtle softness of nesting concave metal. Or do they find themselves suddenly alone among old strainers, measuring cup sets and broken turners? Timers. Did they enjoy their daily usefulness, their purpose in life? Or were they wearied by the same old round of saucer and cup, longing to learn the mysteries of mixing exotic sauces, or perchance transmuted by an artist into sleek songbirds? Each time I open the drawer, I take another brief look, but so far have only discovered those elegant long-handled ones, made for milkshakes in fluted tumblers I no longer possess. So I use them to stir my coffee, but they feel weird, as do I. Can I find new forms, or shall I too, amid the dusty souvenirs of forgotten trips, lose myself? Sorry for the stumbles.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Read it very nicely. I'm sorry Emil wasn't here, but you did him proud. Okay, Judith Feinberg. Judith, are you here? She was before.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, could you please read?
Yes.
Page 34, Better Than Band-Aids, and page 83, To Skip Stones.
Okay. Better than Band-Aids. They emerge. Proverbial red rubber nose here, a fuzz-fringed ball pate there, gaily colored shoes cavorting everywhere, sweeping through corridors from pediatric hematology to geriatric oncology, nary an ology unturned. On constant lookout for fear crouching in sad eyes, no matter age or size. They pull surprises non-toxic from bottomless pockets. They administer salubrious smiles and hello honks, energize exhausted immune systems with playful bonks. They provide funny bone transfusions while 5 balls a juggling. A quirky breed of healers, medical clowns. They speak volumes without words, not to be scoffed, sneezed, or wheezed at, Their training is serious and in depth. Their dedication, no laughing matter. Like a band of naughty angels, they materialize. In truth, a band of holy angels in disguise, dubbed the Dream Doctors, appearing for the love of giving medicinal magic moments.
Very nice, Judith. Lovely. And the second one.
Okay. On page 83, to skip stones. In a glacial valley lake primeval, murmuring shore and mountain air redolent with earthy minerals, a small water-burnished stone knows its value, waits to be discovered. Stiff limbs reach down, recalling a long forgotten ache, that ache for the perfect throw. A once familiar rush of joy is felt anew. It begins with caressing fingers reading the beauty in stone's surface. Then a flowing thrust of arm-body unity, ending with a tempered flip of the wrist, that goodbye kiss of wafting spin. The splendid disc is cast abroad in a defiant, fleeting dance upon the water. Just the right stone, hard sought, relinquished forever. With aging arms in limbo, the inner boy counts 4, 5, 6 gliding skips along a shimmering trampoline, each bounce winking, perhaps this time I shall reach the distant shore. Alas, the jaunt ends too soon. Stone's flat contour burrows and blends into cool blankets of ancient sediments, as if always belonging. In dreams, he journeys back to this lake where he is embraced by childhood waters, to gather in, to let go, to watch the light, to skip stones.
Lovely. Thank you. Lovely. Susan Osworth, could I just ask you to mute yourself, because for some reason when you're unmuted, every now and then the video skips to you when I'm recording.
Are you speaking to me, Judy?
Yes, I'm speaking to you. I can't unmute you because you're the host or co-host. I mean, I can't mute you. So could you?
I thought I was muted.
You're
Hang on.
No. Are you now?
Just a moment, I've got to find myself. I'm sorry about that, but maybe I unmuted myself when I was taking the query call. Just a moment.
Ah, you're on a phone. That makes it more difficult. Well,
No, but I can do it. No, just a second. I'm muted.
Thank you. Okay, so let us then go on to Miriam Weber, who will be reading us Brahms String Sextet Opus 18 on page 39. And if I can find her, I am having trouble. Here we are. And My Lover's Eyes Are Nothing Like the Sun on page 47. Miriam, entertain us. Miriam? This is fun, this meeting.
Yes, Miriam, you need to unmute. Good.
Have I unmuted?
Yes,
Okay.
I have now unmuted.
Okay.
Welcome to you and to your flowers that I always enjoy seeing.
Karen, they're in a poem as well. This particular thing, it's a sonnet, a Petrarchan sonnet. If anybody wants to look up and see what it's all about, what the rhythm, the rhythm pattern is, anyway. Pure notes that fill the air, caress my ears. Are they the cause of tears torn from my heart? Or do the woven harmonies impart the beauty, far increased with passing years, to cause a rush of heartbeat that appears to flood my every fiber with their art? Precision of every player, in his part a catalyst that brings forth blurring tears? But more than this, a memory glowing bright, so real, so strong, alone it can suffice to bring alive time past in candlelight, to marvel how such music can entice. A perfect match of souls we lay that night and listened to these notes in paradise.
Lovely, thank you, Miriam.
Okay, second one, about the same person. My lover's eyes are nothing like the sun. If you care to look up Shakespeare's sonnet 130, you'll see what I've done to it. My lover's eyes are nothing like the sun. They sparkle blue through lenses, bright and clear. His dentures, in a dimpled smile of fun, accent his happiness when I am near. Bald crown, soft curls around that once were red. His nose, not straight, but dignifies his face. Paunch, offering me a pillow for my head. Old age has a magic youth cannot replace. Veined, wrinkled hands with tortoises compare, but what delight is given by their touch. His limp, a lilting song upon the air, and yet I look beyond and see so much. His intellect, his nature, modest, kind, all offered as his heart for me to find.
Beautiful, Miriam, beautiful, really.
Thank you.
And since I am always interested in places where one can publish modern classical poetry, I have a few suggestions for you off the record. Because I think you could publish both of those quite easily in a couple of places.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Ruth Vogelman. Are you here, Ruth?
I am.
Great.
Just myself.
You are next on the list. Page 40. She dipped her pen in time.
40.
She dipped her pen in time.
Yes.
And then page 82, Thea.
Okay. She dipped her pen in time. She dipped her pen in time and rose of crawling, walking, running along the twisting, endless passages of time's huge palace. She dreamt of waltzing with her beloved to the end of time. She dipped her pen in the end of days and rows of lambs that play with wolves, of days when poverty and famine are banished from the world, when calls to war no longer threaten those who yearn for peace. Each day she prayed that she might watch these times unfold.
Thank you, lovely.
And Fear is not a lovely poem. I mean, it's the only one I've written in such a genre. Fear. Fear of the inability to wash or dress myself, to prepare food and feed myself, the incapacity to hold in muscles, restrain my needs, remember the day of the week, my date of birth or my parents' names, of falling down a bottomless shaft, imprisonment in a hospital, needles piercing, drawing blood from a vein, of losing the wonder as dewdrops on a petal, losing a sense of God's presence, living in vain.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Okay, Ricky Frieshammer. Page 46, body language, and page 53, elders. So let's go back to page 46. Ricky, you are here, right?
Yeah, I'm here and I'm unmuted, right?
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. Body language. Spread-eagled, like the subject in Leonardo's famous sketch, I surrender to the acupuncturist who is deftly piercing me with more needles than I care to count. Eyes closed, I picture streams of neurons surging through my body to engulf the prickly decoys and subdue the devilish pain that grips my back and threatens to disable me. I am desperate to believe these needles help, though no one has successfully explained to me just how they work. But then there is so much about my body that I don't understand. Like why your call last night left me trembling so I had to quickly grab a seat.
Yes. Thank you. And page 53.
This next one is builders. First, we built walls to separate us from them. Then we built more walls to separate us from ourselves, from our trains, our traffic, our noise, and our debris. And now I too have built a wall deep down inside to keep my fears at bay and safeguard whatever dreams that still remain.
Lovely, thank you. Always a pleasure to hear from you, Ricky.
Thank you, Judy.
And we go on to Ellie. Okay, Ellie, again, you have, Ellie's poem, No Need to Clean. He has asked for it to be read by a proxy because it's in the voice of a woman. So he thought a woman should read it. So Wendy Bloomfield has volunteered to read it. So actually, for Ellie's poem, we are calling on Wendy Bloomfield. Wendy? Unmute yourself, my dear.
Okay, I'm muted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll try to sound like a woman. No need to clean the whole house. My sonny manages to mop his apartment in the basement, brings to mind a cellar flat, trim Jim rented as I bloomed. I took charge of little Rob and Jean to help Mom because I was the eldest. My 1 year younger sis resented my glittering garland and tempted wavering Jim. Years on, I got my own ground floor kitchen and adjoining rooms, like rooms where loves had hidden, corridors to Mom and Dad's breakup. Nights Jim and I made parlor love while the family slept upstairs. I held him so we'd stay glued when his hands roamed to others. I would not take him back. Now a cleaning lady, tied as this last home, my tall Ted and I built. By the sweat of our practice, psychiatry heals a butterfly. Rising on the stairs, the woman goes up to make the bed where Ted and I might sleep or play before I passed.
And the punch is in the last line. Thank you, Wendy. And Ellie also has another poem, but he will read it himself, so I've put it in its rightful place further on down in the anthology. And now we come to Iris, who is happily with us, right, Iris? Yes, here she is. Iris, page 54, you need to unmute yourself. Page 54, watching my mother mending a sock. And then right down to page 98, by the open window.
Watching my mother mending a sock. She bent over a hole, spanning it with parallel hanging bridges, which swayed under her breath as did the hairs escaped from her bun. When the hole was entirely covered, she resolutely punched the needle through the fabric, made new bridges perpendicular to the first. My breath stopped as the needle disappeared into the dark abyss, pulling the thread behind it, resumed in relief when the tree emerged. Triumphantly to light, skipped one bridge, disappeared, crossed all the bridges, which by now were slightly less loose, then returned in the opposite direction again and again, until a tight, supple crisscross covered what had been an unsightly hole, and all of my mother's hairs had returned to their place. I did not know at that time that everything had an up and a downside, that ideally the downside should be no less neat than the upside, which is rarely the case. I was under the spell of the needle plunging head down, pulling the thread behind it, and I never knew what went on where my eyes could not follow. At that time, there was only the flicker of the needle tip, the alternating limpness and tautness of the thread, and my mother, of course, guiding this dangerous team on its way.
Thank you, Iris. I love the dangerous team. Okay, all the way down to page 98.
90, yes. By the open window, when all was done that had to be done, when after kissing your eyes, your silver gray bonnet, your lace-trimmed ears, while your white fluffy fur of your throat turned stiff and stringy under my fingers, when we returned home with the empty carrier, I rushed to your window to release your soul from this home that was yours, from the clutch of my love. I stared into the cold and dark, my breast still heaving for you, longing to breathe into you some peace, some strength, a little more time. Do you remember how scared you were when you first moved in? How you hid under blankets, in dismantled furniture at the back of the oven? How long it took till you ventured out under the sofa that was to remain yours? How I opened your shutters to let the full sun warm your fur? How ever so cautiously you stepped under the windowsill to explore your new landscape? How I told you, look, darling, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's the same sea, the same sky.
Thank you, Iris. Lovely poem.
Thanks.
Sad but lovely. Okay, and now we come to Linda, our valiant secretary, Linda. Unmute, please. And we go back to page 62.
Okay.
Interesting.
Can you hear?
Voices. Great. So the interesting part of Voices, we are waiting to hear it.
Voices, always in my head, arguing amongst themselves, causing me no end of consternation, helpless to control them, even so aware they care about me. Sometimes a voice leaves my head to call out loud to me. Hearing my mother's voice, I try to locate the source, but the voice is gone as quickly as it was heard. Perhaps she sends me the recurring, upsetting premonitions that compel me to call my children in the middle of the night, to caution them that Mama has, once again, a funny feeling. The fact that I have always been right is more frightening than comforting, both to my children and to me, but at least they listen to my concerns, reporting back to me that all is well. No way to know to whom all those voices belong, but they have never been hostile, just noisy and demanding that I pay attention to them. Although I find them annoying at times, I would never ask them to leave. Listening to them gives me an unexpected sense of peace.
Thank you, Linda. Very interesting poem. And another stalwart of our organization, Avril. Avril, are you here? Avril Ma'alem? She was here. Don't tell me she's disappeared.
I am here. No, I'm here. I've been here.
You are here. You are here. Great. Okay. So you have page 67. I am 12 years old.
I'm 12 years old. My grandfather is in hospital. I'm not taken to visit. He's an oxygen tent. Too frightening for such a young child. My grandmother said he was smiling, looking towards the corner of the room. He tells her that his mother is there. I do not know how to pray for his recovery, my darling Papa, a true spirit of love, my teacher, as we made music together, his violin or piano, my recorder. The telephone rings. Mother's eyes fill with tears. I'm in school, waiting for the lessons to begin. My eyes are red from crying. Friends inquire. I was not allowed to go to the funeral, never to say goodbye. Years pass. My grandfather keeps appearing in my dreams, but only briefly and never close to me. Tonight, I find myself at my daughter's school. It is parents' open evening. My grandmother, grandfather, and father are walking towards me. Strange, as I know they are no longer living. Papa envelops me in his arms, his hug so full of love. Tears flow. At last, we can say goodbye, he whispers and turns away.
Thank you, Avril. Sad but lovely poem. Okay, the next on our list is Ilana Dorfman. She contacted me today to say that she would be arriving late. She might not actually make it because she had something else unexpectedly this evening. So, Ilana, are you here? Ilana? Okay, let us skip her at the moment, and when we get to the end of the list, I'll call her again. And if she doesn't answer, then I think I will read one of her poems again and see if anybody else wants to read the other one, because there is one of hers that I especially like. But meanwhile, let's go on to Sylvia Koffler, one of our new members. Sylvia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Welcome, Sylvia. Nice to see you. So your poem is on page 71, Trinkets. Sylvia is from, let me think, the US, but I forget where.
I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm originally from Austria, though. I grew up in Austria.
Okay.
I know Stanley. Yeah. Trinkets. The silver curlicue earrings are ribbons flowing from her earlobes. Every day she wears them, compliments abound, and she explains that she bought them in Trondheim, Norway. It is not the frivolous purchase of the trinket that brings her joy, but the memory of a trip to a city her father used to tell stories about. She remembers climbing the steep spiral staircase to the top of Nidaros's cathedral with her smiling friends, looking at the fjord, wondering if he climbed those stairs during World War II.
Thank you, Sylvia. Very happy returns to the Voices Anthology, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. It's always a pleasure to welcome new members.
Thank you.
Okay, and now Eli Ben Joseph, to read his own poem, Classmates, on page 74. You are here, aren't you, Eli?
Yes,
Eli, yes, he
I'm
is.
here.
Great.
Still here. Classmates. She's nostalgic. He is sensitive, a gentleman conversing carefully. He was hers, she his, now forever. They recall what they once said, did, and felt. The present says what they are not now. They enter different doors fatefully, but synapses retell their intimacy. Although intersections block their way, weekdays work, holidays distracted. A long time ago, hands dropped, feet walked. Now a wrinkled duo sing a song of what has passed away. Now a rasping duet, croon twilight, memories delay.
Thank you, Ellie. Another lovely poem. Thank you. And now we move to England, to our long-term member, Esther Lipton. Esther, are you here?
Yes,
Hi,
I'm
Esther.
here.
Great
Hello.
to see you. Hello. So you have two poems close together. Page 75, From Whence I Came, and page 77, Goodbye.
From whence I came. Steam trains chaffed from Gateshead to Sunderland, through our village of one street, 2 bus stops, Duck Pond and parade of shops. Top of our road, a field of poppies, goldenrod, knee-high grass and muddy paths. I recall Mr. Petherick at the post office, which sold coloured chalks, bonds, writing paper and sherbet dips. The corner counter for toys, a cardboard box filled with rubber dolls, naked, tiny pink babies, hard, unbendable clones for 1 penny. I recall Mr. Longstaff, the lanky grocer, wire cutter of butter and cheese slabs from big blocks, precisely to the ounce. Measure out our scoops of dried tea leaves from wooden chests. I recall Mr. Blenkinsop, greengrocer with constant hacking cough, mustard gassed in the Great War, selling apples in brown paper bags and grit-filled lettuces. The smell of sawdust and dried blood from Brock the butcher's. I hurried past, holding my breath, averting my eyes from the eyes of the dead pig's head. I recall the cricket green, the crack of bat on ball, players outnumbering watchers, end of day's play, the joy of leftover tea and cakes, Mary's farm, the birthing of lambs, collecting warm brown eggs from under placid hens. Nearby, the sanatorium, a secret place for sick people. I recall my father, Dr. Sam, respected, well-loved, waistcoated, fob watch and chain dangling, to whom the villagers doffed their cloth caps and gave his name to their newborn sons. I recall my childhood.
Thank you, Esther. That certainly brings it back.
Goodbye. You were my constant companion, forever here with me. We were so close, a well of wisdom, a guide, a leader to lost locations, a translator for traveling together, taking photos for my memory's sake, sending videos to make me laugh, the best films, where and when to see, the most appropriate word to use. You knew it all. The latest news, whether the weather would be windy, the best vegan eatery in town, songs from the Beatles and Bach. All I needed to know, you told me what to buy, what to wear, what to sell, when to get a bargain or borrow the same, which platform to catch my train. At the touch of a button, you had power over me. The only nutrient you required to keep going was the recharge of your batteries. Now you've gone. Your control over me has died. I am free from your domination, free from your constant pinging, demanding attention as and when you want. Free to see my friends when I want. I have regained sovereignty over myself. I have escaped from your cell, my cell phone. I shall not replace you, and you can't trace me, though I do miss you. I really do.
Thank you, Esther. I especially appreciated that one, and I'm sure we all felt the same. So not enough to give up our cell phones ourselves. Okay, Mark Levinson, you have miniatures on page 78. You're here, aren't you, Mark? I did see you.
Yes, I'm here. I'm taking a break from the work of administering the Reuben Rose Memorial Poetry Competition,
That's
which
right.
I hope everyone will enter, if not for the sheer glory that is to be had, then as a gesture of support to the organization. Here's my poem, Miniatures. My plastic soldiers, for stability, stood fused to oblong puddles of the same green, or in some cases gray, as themselves. Dramatic but unexaggerated, body proportions true, uniforms loose, they leant into the charge or reared backward, grenade in hand. Oblivious of time as if they figured on a Grecian urn, they lived like TV then, without color, but they had shape. And TV sets had deep enclosing walls to make a 3-year-old imagine little villages inside with gray performers and gray scenery. How little now is deep or colorless.
Thank you, Mark. I remember those soldiers myself. Pesach,
Hi.
I always appreciate. And this one is a villanelle, if I have it right.
Yes, and before I start, I would just like to say thank you to Susan Olsberg for teaching me the art of the villanelle. Susan gave a terrific workshop a couple of years ago before Corona came, and I wrote this poem at Susan's workshop. So thank you, Susan. And the title of this villanelle is Bye Bye Love. She went out in the wind and the rain. She said she needs to make a new start. She's leaving home on the midnight train. With her super cute face and her super smart brain and her super compassionate heart, she went out in the wind and the rain. I'm losing my mind. I can't stand the strain. I won't survive if we are apart. She's leaving home on the midnight train. Hear my sad song, my heart-wrenching refrain of love that's gone cold, leaving nary a spark. She went out in the wind and the rain. This old-fashioned girl won't fly on a plane, but must on earthbound conveyance depart. She's leaving home on the midnight train. I said, won't you just give me time to explain? No, your words are just words, they all miss the mark. She went out in the wind and the rain. She's leaving home on the midnight train.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Lovely. And if we were just talking about villanelles and about the Reuben Rose, I might add that a villanelle that Miriam wrote at that same workshop, in polished version one, I think it was second place, right in the Reuben Rose competition a year or two ago. So you see there is room for classical forms also. Okay, now we move on to Louisa, our longtime member Louisa Carroll, page 85, Pieces of Time. Louisa, yes, I can see you. I don't even have to ask how you're here, if you're here. How refreshing.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Pieces of Time. My first timepiece was a toy clock of white cardboard with red numbers. It helped me learn to tell the time. And I got a real stainless steel watch, anti-shock and water resistant. I lost it. I replaced it with an elegant golden one, beautiful but too delicate. It got broken and couldn't be repaired. Then I had a digital timepiece and finally a smartphone timepiece. But the timepiece I really love is the invisible one that I create in my mind. It shows a relative time and adapts itself to parallel universes. The older I get, the more it resembles the toy clock of my childhood.
Very nice, very cute. Okay, Anne Baldorf, page. Actually, I have a slight change here. Malka Kelter asked to read last because she was going to arrive late, but I see she has actually arrived. So would you like to read now? Since your poems should actually have come earlier. So you have page 55, Destiny of a Doll, and page 92, Young at Heart. And I'm sure Anne won't mind waiting for you for.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to see you here.
Destiny of a Doll. Tiny Tears was special. Her porcelain face had delicate features. Her hair was tight curls, and she had rockabye eyes. When she was erect, her eyes were open. When she lay down, her eyes closed, like a real baby. She could drink water from her bottle, wet her diaper, and even cry tears. After I outgrew her, I saved her in the closet, hoping to share her with a child who would appreciate her. But my 3 sons had no interest in her, except to bite off one of her rubber fingertips. So back to the closet she went, waiting for the next generation. Finally, it was time to present her to a granddaughter who showered her with love as I had hoped. After 50 years, her rubber arms and legs had lost their elasticity. They cracked like parched earth in the desert. But Hillel did not let that stop her from loving the doll. She swathed her in duct tape to try to hold her together. Alas, her mummy-like body was no longer the lovable baby doll she had been. She made her final journey, thrown out with the trash. She spent half a century in the closet, waiting to be loved again. And when she finally emerged, she was loved to death. But there are no regrets. Better to be cherished, even if short-lived, than to remain preserved, unused, and forgotten. And the other one is Young at Heart. For 5 years, we just heard forecasts, predictions of pillow-stuffing precipitation, which never materialized into the winter wonderland of nostalgia, and we were left dreaming disappointedly. This year it happened. The rain became sleet, became snow. First it came down in sheets, and then it floated down in fairy-like flakes, covering the roofs, the grass, the cars, the trees, with the white cotton-like blanket we had all been waiting for. The young children burst out adventurously, eager to make petite snowmen and snow ladies, one even perched under a palm tree. Then the photographers braved the white night, keen to capture the ephemeral beauty of such a scene that had not been seen for so long. After the mad rush, it was our turn. We bundled up and went to Deja Vu, greeting the snow people, appreciating the beauty, throwing snowballs at each other, barely hitting anything, but grateful for the special opportunity to replay our youth.
Thank you. Very nice. Lovely. Thank you, Malka.
Thank you.
So now we go back to Anne Baldorf, way down on page 107, The Thing Itself.
Okay, hi. This is The Thing Itself. I was at the sea, shore edge, plunked down on the sand, wrapped up in a robe, watching as a far-off wall of water, like thick green glass, coalesced, solidified, began moving toward land fast, ramming straight through lesser waves, knifing through their nervous churnings, higher, higher, a monster wall of water, and then the slow, heavy crash as it toppled over to smash itself to nothing against the sodden shore. And I thought, that's it. That's life. The buildup, the beauty, the drama, the threat, and then it's gone as if it never was. What's left behind stays behind. Debris, destruction, unexpected treasures from unfathomable depths. Flotsam stays, jetsam stays, but the thing itself is gone.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Anne. Lovely. Okay, and now we have our past president, Susan Orsberg, who is going to read us from page 146, her poem which won an honorable mention in the Reuben Rose this year, Gates. Susan.
Thank you, Judy. Gates. Is a gate to open or close? Viewed this way, our whole lives are an opening till the gate closes. Shall we open the catch and do the latch, enter and explore, or pull the gate shut, closing it like a door? Do we guard, protect what lies beyond, or secure any likelihood of escape? Descriptions of a gate abound. Throughout history, symbolic gates have marked the passage of time, from the simple 5-barred garden gate, inheritor of Eden's gates sublime, to temple gates and palace gates, significant markers of boundaries, or more homely childhood's prohibition not to go beyond the garden gate, to wondrous golden gate bridges linking land masses in more modern times. A school gate demarcated a boundary line, and trellised romantic gates in lovers' lanes, roses and hearts entwined. The heavenly gates await the end of time, and in between, from birth to lifetime's end, gates are entered, gates are closed, gates are forced or left ajar, wood, metal, stone, real and ethereal, remote controlled, security patrolled, closed with a clang or a click, opened in excitement or with a fearful flick. Be careful to use the right trick to navigate all the gates a lifetime offers, the ones we choose and the ones we cannot pick.
Thank you, Susan. Lovely, lovely poem. And I see that Ilana has now arrived just in time. Hello, Ilana, welcome. You are just in time. You are just in time. So we are going back to Ilana Dorfman, whose poems are Sharks and Other Dangers, which I especially like, on page 70. I have a warm spot in my heart for your sharks. And page 99, Leaving Fear Behind.
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, fine. Loud
Okay. Sharks and Other Dangers. It is dark. The smell of fish food, slightly salty, slightly rotten. Sharks swim in a tank in the back of the store. Real sharks, complete with upper fins, terrifying their miniature world. They could fit in the palm of my hand. My sons love these sharks. Transfixed, they watch them swirl around their aquarium. Mommy, can we buy some? Can we take the sharks home? Now, wouldn't that be nice? Go ahead, package up the ocean, the salt smell, the seaweed, the turquoise, the waves, the breeze, the coral, the shells, the shrimp, the cod, the grouper, the dolphins, and a great white shark the size of a car with teeth as sharp as razor blades. Wrap it up, please. I'll take it home. I'll put it on my coffee table, or better yet, behind the couch, hidden away until those times when I'm ready to deal with the enormity of the ocean in my living room. I would only take it out after supper, after the kids are asleep, maybe after a glass of wine. I'd carefully unwrap my ocean behind the couch and dive straight in. Let the seaweed get tangled in my hair, find pearls inside oysters, swim with the orcas, and come up for air only when absolutely necessary. Mommy, can we? All I need in my life now is to take care of an aquarium. The fish would probably die and I'd have to flush dead sharks down the toilet.
Lovely, thank you. Great fun.
The joys of motherhood. Okay. The second one was written during Corona. Leaving fear behind. Sitting in meditation, I remember Lake Nakuru in Kenya. As we wound our way down from the hills, our Jeep rounded a curve. Before us, a pink lake shone in the sunshine. 2 million flamingos feeding on algae. As we walked to the shore, they moved away in waves of fuchsia and white. Listening to my breath brings me back to my body. An ambulance passes below, its siren pierces skin. For a moment, I hear the sound, but do not follow. The obsidian lake merges silently into the night sky. One falling star on the horizon kisses the lake on its way down. The depths are unmoved as the surface surges for a moment. The ripples reach the shore, barely leaving a mark on the sand. The slate wiped clean, the lake returns to reflection.
Thank you, Ilana. Have a lovely poem. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and now we come to the closing bracket of this evening's reading. Donna's poem on page 110 to end the anthology as it does. Winter Sleep. Donna.
Winter sleep. In the hushed lushness of glistening snow, powdering like a pampered princess the earth's sullen skin, the earth takes reprieve from its growing, sowing its rest. Branchlets' quivers are hushed in such lush quiet, their crystal-clad elegance veining the labradorite complexion of the sky, their fine fingers a filigree of lace veiling this cold solstice's face. I do not grieve, nor cast lament for the ebbing of greens and golds, or oranges and reds, the stained glass pigments of forsaken and spent. I am not bereaved, nor bereft, for in its well-earned slumber, under snow-woven cover, the earth dreams of the crops and trees, leaves and grasses, geometries of flowers, hyperboles of color, which it will craft and sculpt and paint upon its always awakening.
Thank you, Donna. Lovely poem. And what a nice end to the anthology with looking forward to the new year. Okay, so that concludes our readings, everybody. I would like to join Mark in reminding you that the Reuben Rose competition is open until the 15th of November this year. And because it is, we have also moved by a month the dates of opening and closing of the anthology, so that you will have time to get the results of the submission to the Reuben Rose. And if by any, what should I say? incomprehensible chance you have not won a prize or an honorable mention, you can then turn around and submit your poems to the anthology. So I think
what is the dates for submitting things to the Voices Anthology? Do you have them yet?
Yes, we do have them. Usually we open, perhaps Dina, you'd like to say this, but as far as I know, we just moved it a month from the 15th of December that it usually opens to the 15th of January that it will open this year. That's right, Dina? Yeah.
Yes, and also we were sent a newsletter. I think I got it today with all the dates. But please read the newsletter carefully.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So a very warm thank you to everybody who took part and to everybody who came, even though they did not take part. It was a pleasure to have you all. It was lovely to hear you all read. I'm really sorry we can't do it face to face. We couldn't do it face to face, but on the other hand, it was so nice to also see a few of our friends from England, Canada, and the US. Good night, everyone. Let's pray.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you
so much.
Judy.
Judy, thank you, Judy.
Thank you,
Judy, I came in at the end, but you did a beautiful job, really, moderating.
Thank you.
Especially
She
those
always
who didn't
does.
see me can believe that I did a beautiful job. Anyways, people, I am now going to turn off the recording and I declare this event closed.
Thank you.